Welcome, everyone. This is Polypheedles, and you're listening to LOTRO Players News, where we take a look at the latest news in LOTRO and here at LOTRO Players. And this week we have with us Arendis,
Hey, everybody.
Sanswinda,
Hello.
and Krister.
Hello.
Hello, everyone. And this week we have some interesting news. The first being that they have announced the official expansion release date as opposed to let's spitball something because they expect something to be on the pre-order notification estimate that they did before. The Mia's Morgul expansion is due to release on November 5th, which is 1 week after that original spitball estimate that they made. Thus, we have 10 days, all right, 9 days from now, from when we are recording this, probably about a week after we release the podcast in there. So that's the Minas Morgul expansion, which will include another return trip to Mordor, as well as some instances and a few other things in there, which we'll discuss some of those when we talk about the patch notes. Anyone have to say about the release date before we head into the patch notes for Bulwer Round 2? Then let us head into it, where, of course, we have Minas Morgul is getting closer to arriving with all the stuff it has there that we discussed last time. And news and notes on what we have in here is that we had the updates to, there's a bit more on the updates to the Runekeeper. Pre-made imbued legendary items were put in there, or now available in there. We have an update to the crafting carry-all bags, where now they come with a auto gather button, so which means that if you have the auto gather on, then if you put something into your bags, then it will be automatically sucked into the crafting carry-all. I was expecting them to implement that, since that's a button that I always have on when I'm on my DDO thing, is always have auto gather on all of my bags that I have in there. And then there are, of course, the instances where there were 4 instances that were available for testing. So they were saying that crafting is still in development, but it is further along than it was last time. And I think I heard some people complaining because I think a lot of us were under the impression that there would not be, that the means in which you'll be getting reputation for the new tier of the guild rep was not going to be through all these items in there. And I heard complaints about people saying that, what do you mean? I thought you said there weren't going to be new items or something like that. So I did not really look into that, since I haven't been doing much in the way of guild. Have you done any stuff with the guild stuff and what I'm talking about?
I looked at it last week, but this week I didn't have very much of a chance to play on Bulroar.
Right, okay.
So I have not seen the changes to that.
See, I've not seen the changes to that. So I've not done anything with the guild rep stuff or anything like that. I've sort of been ignoring that, which, if I took it seriously, would probably be a bit of a problem, since I know that there are people in there who do everything they can in order to prep for when the new tier is opened up for the guild rep. As for instances, there are 4 instances that they had in there. The Ethelguar, the Gorthod Nurs, the Deep Barrow, Goth Daraval, the Shadow Roost, and the Harrowing of Morgul. And I ran through all 4 of these things, and I don't know, has anyone else tried these?
I haven't. I was waiting for your review. I'm looking forward to seeing what you say.
Well, just remember that I'm not exactly a top-form warden and all this stuff, but the Filth Well, first of all, I have to agree it has a wonderful name, meaning it's well-named, not necessarily that it's a place where you would like to go.
So we
Actually,
should
it's
wear
very...
boots?
I would say wearing boots might be a capital idea for that, because it's certainly not a place where you would like to bring your toes, so to speak. Or actually, I guess you have to bring your toes no matter what, but you don't want your toes in contact with that filth. I think I've thought of this place as the Mordor Day Spa.
Ugh.
And if anyone knows where I'm sure Sans Winda knows where I stole that term from.
So is it as deadly as the Carn Doom Day Spa?
Oh, yeah, I will say that is a good way of putting it. Yes. Or actually, no, this is what I called it. I called it the Morgulduin Day Spot is what I called it.
The Morgulduin. Okay.
Yeah, the Morgulduin Day Spot is how you refer to this place.
That should be
And
interesting.
yes. And the end boss in this one was brutal. Brutal. Simply brutal. And I don't think I was able to finish that one because of the end boss in there. It's one of those things that I guess if you are a top player, you might be able to finish it, but that boss is nasty. Then as for Gath Daraval, the Shadow Roost, I went through that, and I'm trying to figure out how in the world is it physically possible for a solo player to complete this? Because it's one where in the final battle, you've got things attacking, and at the same time, you have to be doing something that could be readily interrupted. And if you had somebody getting the attraction of all the monsters and working on them while somebody else did the other item, that would be fun. Now, I do admit this was my first time doing it, and the first time you're doing it, it might be that you would have difficulty seeing where the item is because you have to pick up an item and you have to take it somewhere else before too much time elapses. And you can imagine if you can't find the item in the first place, if you're having trouble finding that, then time's almost up by the time I reach it. So I can't do the second phase of it. And of course, all this time I've got things attacking me. So I have to see the message saying that that thing is happening that signals that I must start going for a particular item, find the item, and do all this. And at the same time, remember that I've got all these baby fell beasts attacking me.
You made friends.
Yeah, I made friends with baby fell beasts. Oh, how cute. Yes. Then the Howling of Morgul. I went there. Now, that's a title that sounded like it was going to be scary, and all that stuff. And after doing the other 2, I thought, what? That's it? I thought that was a bit on the easy side. And a welcome relief after the other 2. And I think that one was actually set, I believe that one was set inside of Minas Morgul itself. And then Gorthegner Barrow. Now, I heard complaints in the forum about this particular one, about the deep barrel, telling on how annoying and impossible, and you're constantly being attacked, and this is like the worst, most annoying, impossible, too long instance in the face of LOTRO. And did that person do the first two that I named earlier? I had problem with this instance whatsoever. So I'm sure there's somebody out there who says, "What do you mean? The fifth well is one of the best instances ever made, and the Shadow Roost? Oh, I could do that with a frying pan." I'm sure there's someone out there saying that, and then calling the deep barrel impossible. But I'm sorry, no. For me, it's the other way around. But I think I was the only one running them, so who knows? Baby fell feast. Okay. Yeah, we're getting some interesting feedback from the chat in there. Oh yeah, Cardoon action. So is the Morgulduin day spa, I guess. As for items, the pre-made legendary items are now available once again from Typer, the ENG basement. I did not go after these. Occasionally, these items are not showing stats after creation. Relogging the character should fix that issue. And
I
legendary
did
item.
get one of those.
Oh, you did get one of those.
I did. That was all I managed to do on Bulwer this week. I logged in my hunter and picked up a pre-made legendary item. It had no stats, so I logged out and logged back in, and it had stats. And the stats were pretty good. The title on the legendary item was not good, but the stats were
Why
decent.
was it?
It was like an agility 3 or something. But it didn't change the damage type of the bow. So the bow was doing common damage. I do not want to take that bow anywhere while it is doing common damage. Fortunately, you could put light oil on it or fire oil because hunter.
Yeah.
But if it's going to be your main weapon, it should not be doing common damage, so you might still want to be prepared to get a title for your legendary items if it goes live that way. I think you can override a title, can't you?
Oh yeah, I've done that on a couple of occasions.
Yeah, so you'll probably need to override the title if they leave it that way because you don't want to face the high-level mobs doing common damage.
Yes, it will give you a warning, I think, if you do that. You'll override. Actually, I think it gives you that warning even if you don't have a title on it.
So Sans stats are one thing, but that's irrelevant to what's really important. Does it look?
It looked good.
Okay. I can't wait to get my bow.
What about the legacies?
The legacies were good. Like you might want to tweak them a little bit depending on how you're set up, but they were some solid legacies. So,
all right.
Like, and they were solidly leveled. They weren't like, oh, and thanks for this cool imbued bow. Like, now if I spend 50 some days in Minas Tirith, maybe I can use it. No, like they're actually decently leveled. You just had to do, like, you'd have to do a little bit of work to finish maxing it out, but it's not going to be painful with the way that it's currently leveled. So, yeah, I'm pretty excited about these.
Now, how are you going to get one of these?
From the soliloquy, I think.
Oh, right. So they'll be part of the soliloquy.
Yeah, so it'd be for a new character. But it looks like they're going to actually be good, decent weapons to go out with. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm pretty excited about that.
Nice then. Now, they said that the legendary item legacy tiers have been increased. Increased base legacy max from 63 to 67 and increased the other legacy max from 79 to 83. So therefore increased each of them by 4. And the balance between legendary weapon DPS and relic DPS has been tweaked a bit more towards relics, so their effect will be more substantial, whatever that means. And runes of binding, enchantment, and striking have had their values adjusted. Overall, legendary weapon DPS HPS has been increased at the high end to bring them more closely in line with regular weapons, monster health. Actually, I read that one last week. And gear ratings for U25 were set to start too low for the itemization provided in quests. This has been increased so that initial gear drops would be more meaningful. I hope.
Yay! There's much rejoicing. Hopefully it will be cool.
Yes, I'm just remembering how I'm currently going in through Dunland with a character. I am pretty close to level 75, and I have yet to find a single item drop that was a solid upgrade.
Ouch.
And remember, I'm running on quest gear. I've got some stuff I think I had something back from Moria still.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, that stuff in Dunland is like, what in the world are they doing for stats on that? See, there was an instance of a hobbit in a Witch King permanent costume running around the pony while the band played and sang, Baby Nazgul! Oh,
I'm
well.
sad I missed it.
Oh, boy. Things are getting really crazy in the chat today. And as for the Rune Keeper, epic for the ages, mostly unnerfed. Actually, it's now significantly bigger. Apparently, they must accidentally.
Hooray!
I guess they accidentally nerfed it last time, and so no, this is what we really meant to do. Rid of health and bombastic inspiration, immediate health components have been increased substantially. Rid of health duration increased from 20 seconds to 24 seconds. Rune Sign of Winter buffed further. Rune of Restoration, HOT increased, still small though. Some Runekeeper skills had long delays after their animations completed. These should be mostly be fixed.
Yay!
Word Essay of Exaltation Bubble is now based on percentage of morale, ranging from about 20% to 40%, depending on the healing focus at the time of casting.
That's
Essay
awesome.
Essay of Exaltation cooldown increase from 40 to 45 seconds. Rousing Words magnitude increase about 40%. Increased direct damage on most dedicated yellow line attack skills. Increased direct damage on most frost skills. Fixed sustaining bolt heal, and no changes to mending burst in this pass. Probably some are coming.
I haven't tested it, but these sound pretty good.
Now there's something I'm curious about that I did not check out. It says new UI setting option induction bar display. When checked, an induction progress bar will be shown above any character or pet pending in action. This preference is only available when the floating names preference is on, so it won't work for me even if I did have it checked because I don't usually play with floating names.
This might be really helpful for people who have trouble seeing the induction circles, though.
Yes, it could. And sometimes you're wondering, well, are they close to the end of this or not?
Oh, it might help with that, too.
Yeah. And the rewards for Hobbit presents have been updated. The same gifts are available regardless of your class or level. And I never knew that there were any class differences. Now, I know that there were some level differences where you had to be at least level 20 to get skirmish rewards, and you had to be at least level 50 in order to get relics.
Maybe this means that there was something to my observation that Hobbit presents that I received on my hunter were more likely to have a run speed boost I couldn't use in them.
Oh, you mean in the old system?
In the old system. But I don't know.
Oh, what level was the hunter?
Oh. Like, starting when I first started the hunter, but all the way up through 120.
Oh,
Uh,
well, I don't think they would have increased the chance of getting a run speed boost for a hunter. That just doesn't sound right.
no, but I swear that's the character who gets the most of them when I open the Hobbit presents on her. It's kind
Mine
of
are
funny.
typically filled with Matham armor. Matham armor, the
Fair.
ugliest armor ever made by Hobbit.
Well, why do you think they're Mathams? I mean, if they were nice looking armor, I don't think they would have sent to the Matham house. Right?
You're actually right. That's probably a brilliant marketing strategy. I didn't look at it that way before. Finally, that's
Yeah,
basically I get that out of my bags as quickly as I can.
yeah. And Guarana says that, yeah, 95 plus hunter still run speed boosts in Hobbit. Well, yes, there's no maximum level for getting anything. That's one of the reasons why I'm saying surely there can't be tied to class for it. I'm trying to think, is there any that could possibly be tied to class? The only thing and I really can't think of a single item that's ever come out of a Hobbit present where I would have thought would have been class dependent.
I agree.
Yeah,
So I'm
I can't
Level
think of
maybe
one
the
either.
number.
no, the number of
Level for
marks has
sure.
absolutely nothing to do with that number of marks you get is based on your level.
Yep.
Right, right. That's the only correlation I could ever make. I don't. Yeah,
Right.
I agree with you. I've never seen a class specific thing being one and one.
Right, because I'm just looking at this thing. Yeah, I I don't think there's anything that was in there that was class specific.
Or they were so incredibly rare that we never ever saw.
Well, that's always a possibility because if I got a tome, it seemed to be completely random class I was on. And that's the only thing that I would thought that could conceivably be based on classes, which of those you get. So I have a feeling that was a little bit of a typo, or that they're saying, well, okay, we won't have class dependency. Well, yeah, but you never had them in the first place. Or at least that's the way things look from my perspective in there. Now, I did note that while some people were thinking that meant that there were no scalable items, I think certain things are still going to scale based on your class. I obviously don't have a large enough sample set to tell that, but I have a feeling that if you get a monetary reward, it might still be based on your level. It's just that your chances of getting a monetary reward are going to be the same regardless of your level. At least that's the impression that I got on how things are going to be working. But extremely small sample set is all I can say on that. And power cost. Oh, actually, no, that's wrong section there. Let's see. Now, the other thing that I noticed relating to the Hobbit present is that the Hobbit present will always, in addition, will always come with a bottle of Virtue XP. And the tier of your Hobbit present will determine the number of Virtue XP that are in the bottle. So that's a nice thing. And that's interesting because one of the things that they've always had in DDO is XP coming out of their daily dice rolls. It's just that because in LOTRO, you don't always want to have it. In DDO, XP is never a bad thing. But in LOTRO, sometimes XP is a bad thing because, which is why we have some people turning it off and all that fun stuff. That's not something that is likely to happen in DDO. And as a result of that, they've never implemented XP as part of Hobbit presence. So it looks like they thought maybe they wanted to add something equivalent to that. So they decided, well, Virtue XP. No one is going to complain about getting Virtue XP. I mean, they might complain how piddly it is.
I agree though. I think what's great about that is that makes every single Hobbit gift worthwhile to get, and that's great. That's great. I really like that.
Yeah, that's a nice little addition that they have in there. So at least you've got something that maybe will someday accumulate to something useful on that matter. Now, power costs were run up too quickly in the 121 to 130 range in the previous round of Bull Roar. That has been toned down a little bit. And if you're level 120 or above, you can now earn Virtue up to rank 65. And Landscape Monsters in U25 has been reduced by about 10% from the first round in there. I didn't fight too many Landscape Monsters, so I couldn't remember from the first round how bad they were or whatever. And that's it on the Borer preview number 2. There's likely to be a preview number 3 next week, where they hope to start to get some of the rough edges out so we could be ready for a release the week after that, because we do hope that the November 5th date can be met, and with something that we'll be happy to be running. Anything else to say about the patch notes before we go on? Then let's talk about server maintenance. I'm sure you've all noticed that we've had some real fun times where we had Langeville with a couple of down times. Then on Friday, we had Siranen and Ithel down pretty much all day for 12 hours on Friday, 5 a.m. to 5 p.m. That was quite an extended downtime. On Monday, Gladden and Laurelin will be down. And I think it's a pretty safe bet that each day after that, barring anything suddenly unusual happening, we'll have another 2 servers go down. That is going to be my guess, because I'm given the impression that they want to have all of these server maintenances done before Minas Morgul gets out. Now, Cordovan says that it's not required that they have them all done by that time, but it's something they want to do, probably because they don't want to go around bringing down a server right after an expansion, because you could just imagine people are wanting to get on probably most after it. So I think they want to get it all done before then for that reason, so that they won't have people locked out for 12 hours on any of the servers once the thing is complete. And note that if you are on Borer, once they perform the maintenance, you will not be able to copy characters onto Borer from that server. So if you have any characters you want to get on Borer for the 3rd round, and you haven't done the transfers yet, and you're on one of the servers that hasn't been taken down yet and updated, then yes, do so quickly. And it looks like they're doing some hardware upgrades on these. And the fact that you cannot perform a copy over afterwards means either A, there's some sort of interaction between the servers that is that's not linked in the maintenance cycle or something, or that there's some sort of server only side software upgrade that's not compatible with the current copy system. I'm not too sure which one it'll be, and I presume that we will find out once everything is all complete. Because once they have that all done, then I guess at some point we'll find out what they're planning to do concerning the character transfers, because that's been down for a while, and I suspect, actually, I'm pretty sure that it'll be down completely at least until they finish this server maintenance cycle and that Minas Morgul is done. Anyway, it looks like that Langeville is the only server of mine that has not been hit yet, so I'm just thinking, right, I hope they don't knock down my servers at the most inconvenient time, because that always happens, right?
Well, that's a bummer too, because I thought because Landreval was down for quite a bit this last patch, so
Well,
I thought
yes.
they.
Well, Langeville at least has already been done, so we won't have to worry about Langeville. And Langeville seemed to have been the guinea pig for this entire thing, because they took it down, and it looks like they figured out, all right, this is what we really need to do. Then they took it down. Then it looks like well, we also need to do this. And I think they have better estimates now that they've done Langeville and that they've done the other two, Siranan and Ithil. And it looks like with Siranan and Ithil, they came up right around 12 hours after they went down, which means that I think they got a pretty good idea now how long these things take. And that takes care of the server maintenance. So let's head into the LOTRO Beacon issue 134, where it looks like, I'm trying to see, where are they here? Because I see tracks. Oh, actually, is this the depths, or is this something else? Anyone have an idea?
What is it? Kidzukala? Kidzukala, maybe?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, if it was depths of Kitsukala.
It looks
Or,
like it might be.
all right, that would be
Just
my
looking at
guess.
what they're fighting and their surroundings.
Oh, you can see what they're. Oh, I guess I could see what they're. Oh, it looks like a cave clone, or is there something? Oh, okay, I see. Yes, okay. Now those funny shapes there are the nameless thing. Oh, yeah, that's definitely depths. Very well. Let's head into the community spotlight, where Deco de Milou has launched their Fifth House Curiosities contest, and we have Those of Wealth is running a 12-hour live stream. Well, actually, they ran it today, where they played through bookstore 4 of the epic storyline. I wonder if they finished it. Well, anyway, if it might be still available to read after the facts. Well, they're actually, who knows? They're probably done by now, seeing if it's in the German language. I'm going to assume that they finished at a convenient time for someone in Germany. And LOTRO Stream hosted the Extra Life Marathon from noon to midnight yesterday, and those videos are available on YouTube, so you could watch them there. And of course, you could also see them on Twitch. And Lena put together thoughts and images of the upcoming Minas Morgul expansion from Bull Roarer. And you could check out her preview there. See, quicker than a ray of light. LOTRO Minas Morgul preview. And it was last updated on October 18th. And showing the various maps and pictures of various items in there. So if you want to have a little quick look of what's going to be happening in the next update. And are you looking for a busy LOTRO Discord? You could click on LOTRO's largest community-run Discord. And I don't know if it's going to be, I'm not too sure busy and Discord are two things that I want to go together. And as for the Kinhall, the Eldar is a friendly Evernight-based kinship with members ready to answer your questions and help you out. The Eldar is based on Elven themes, but all races, ages, levels, and classes are welcome. Look for Benwell Butler or any of the Eldar officers for your invitation. Benwell Butler, that just doesn't sound like a Elven name, if you ask me. Unless, of course, it means something completely different in Sindarin or Benwale Butler? Nah, that doesn't even sound right. Let's head into our weekly comment. How long would an int-led auction last?
Approximately forever.
Well, yeah, I mean, you get done describing one item, and somebody's brought another item to add to the auction, and you just keep going.
So it
Not
is
to
the
mention
endless
how long it takes to bid. Yeah.
Well, and which ents? I mean, what positions are we talking about? Just the auctioneer, or are like the ents on the phones taking anonymous bids? Are they doing that too? Because then we have to factor their slowness in to that too.
True.
You know, like a
I mean,
hobbit would answer instantly, but an
or
ent.
or it's the one's bidding, and there's like a hobbit or an elf like actually running the auction and talking super fast.
Well, it'd have to be an elf. If you have a hobbit running the auction, then you literally would have to have his generations of his family up on that podium.
Right.
And continue to.
Totally have to be an elf running the int. But it said int led.
Yeah.
So there's probably an
int-led.
int running the auction.
Yes. I would say definitely the auctioneer has to be an int in this case. It says nothing about what race the bidders are.
What would ints auction?
Well, that is a good question.
Like, I'm having some trouble picturing this. And here is a bit of moss. How much would you like to bid? Here is this nice little bit of a rock that's going to be gone by the time the bidding is done.
Well, and
You're
not
saying
only
long
that,
enough for that rock to erode?
I mean, if it's going to go on forever, sure.
Well, and not only that, but what do you use to buy these items with? Like, is there some kind of int form of currency that we don't know about?
It's a great question.
How do you pay for this stuff?
I'll take your bit of moss and I'll trade you for this berry. But then the berry might go moldy before you finish saying that. So then what do you do?
Also,
yeah.
Sorry.
No, go on.
I was just going to say multiple people in the forums and Mary Rose in the chat are mentioning until Isengard bids 5, or how would they manage Isengard bids?
Oh, they'd give Isengard 5. 5 fingers right to the head. I'm sure he wouldn't last more than one int punch.
Well, Mary Rose said that it will last long enough for a hobbit to have 5th breakfast.
For sure.
Like 3 days later.
Yeah. Well, that's a relatively
That's
quick
just
time.
describing the first part of the item, though. I mean, whatever it is they're auctioning.
Perhaps.
Though maybe an int-led auction would be really fast. They'd be like, hey, do we want an auction? Nah. Okay, bye.
Yeah, it is hard to imagine an ent having an auction. I try to think, all right, what would they auction off and what would they use in order to trade for it? Of course, for the 2 questions asked here.
Well, then we'd have to get into the whole argument about ent art. You know, do ents paint paintings? Do they make sculptures? You know, and an ent making a painting like the Mona Lisa. I mean, you got to at least think about 10, 12,000 years to finish that painting. So that would probably be really valuable, really, if you think about it.
I would think that int art would be more of the botanical variety.
Hey,
Like-
you never know.
I mean, they might like make sand art paintings too, but those tend to blow away.
Yeah, they're a bit ephemeral for an int, I would think.
How about pet rocks and chia pets? That sounds kind of intish.
Yeah, maybe. So yes, we're having trouble trying to figure out how
Int
long
drops.
it would take. It sounds like
That's what they
a
would
long, long time.
Here, I've got this special drink that I made from this loam over here. Do you want to buy it for some of the drink you made from the river over there?
Oh, I know how it is. Maybe that's the truth.
It
of
just turns into a
how-
big potluck, though.
Yes. As I think that only one non-int has ever been to an int-led auction, and that is Curidan. And that shows you what happens. An elf goes to an int-led auction, and is there so long that he grows a beard. Let's head into the fan site. See. Actually, Guarinus says, I don't see ints as being so angsty about their art that it would take extra time to create it. Just a really long time for the item.
Yeah, exactly. It'd take a long time to craft it, so it'd be intrinsically valuable as art. Right?
Yeah.
But then again, isn't it worth more once they're dead? So then you're kind of messed up there because the ent's going to live a lot longer than you are. So you're never going to cash in on it.
Oh yeah, actually, that was one of the funny things I noticed in here is that it looks like the people in LOTRO are going into the angle that the Last Alliance and the Siege of Mordor is when Círdan starts growing his beard. You remember that in the High Elf intro, he doesn't have a beard? But in the new area, he does.
So he was totally going to an intish auction after that.
Yeah, so he
What was
must
he
have spent...
thinking?
I don't know. He must have gone to the intish auction. Maybe he was looking for a weapon to use in the Last Alliance. Or he wasn't going to an auction per se, but he was trying to get the Ents to help in the Last Alliance.
Or maybe he was just like hanging out in the woods and there was this intish auction going on. And then he kind of fell asleep and it was really peaceful and stuff and he woke up with a beard.
That's a possibility.
I mean, because elves don't like sleep the same way people do, so, just kind of wandering around the woods, listening to the auction and growing a beard and not knowing what was going on.
I'm thinking maybe he heard that the Ents produced superior beard grooming products. He knew the beard was coming, so he went to the Ents to bid on their beard products.
All right. I did my best to resist saying Rip Van Círdan, and apparently Guarindus has decided not to resist it. Let's then head into the fan site news, where Piney usurps LOTRO
Wow, Pine
LOTRO
Leaf.
Players News.
What have you been up to lately?
That I've been hosting.
Maybe it's more of a research.
And the head that LOTRO stream is your share.
You're cutting out, Pine Leaf. Can you try one more time, please?
What? Or LOTRO? Those.
It sounds like Discord's dying, Pine. I can make out, like, every other syllable, maybe.
Okay. Trouble?
Still not working.
Fine to me.
So, someone who's having trouble with their server.
It could be.
You either.
Mixers.
The robot said Pine Leaf is coming out. Discord usurps Pine Leaf.
Notice the timing. That was good timing there. You know.
Very good timing.
Apropos.
Hey, that sounded better.
Oh, things are starting to settle down. Well, let's see. As soon as the people in here.
I can hear you better, so they should be able to.
Okay, you can hear you better. Okay, so yes, so that's why Mixer wasn't hearing it well, is because it was coming through your system pretty poorly. So
Yes.
is everybody on Mixer fine then?
Everybody in the chat, can you hear us?
Well, we hope they are. Okay, Discord solves Discord. No one is surprised. Actually, I think it probably meant so's, but that's another matter. Much better. All right, then let us continue on. LOTRO Stream is your starting point for LOTRO on Twitch. Check out shows this week from Winnie, Balvio, Roxy, and Red Baron. It isn't just LOTRO streamers streaming on Twitch. Check out recent shows by Dr. Manny, Tux Ramas, Geek Bite, and Yiki. YouTube has LOTRO players streaming as well. Zogog prepares for a wedding. Ginkin has warden tips, and Granddad plays on Laurelland. And Silmillion has drawn a LOTRO comic. And How Big is the Map on Twitter has created a video about how big LOTRO's map is. And the Dwarf Scholar sings, and you click on the link for a language lesson. I will presume that the language lesson is in the Dwarven languages. And Sip, or at least that's my guess, Sip levels his lore master, and LOTRO Legendarium looks at the Stout Axe. And you can click on the link for that article. A LOTRO comic. All right, let's see. We'll have to look at that at some point. So let's head into our screenshot of the week, where Fibro Jedi witnesses his first thunderstorm outside of Rohan in this week's screenshot of the week.
It looks pretty cool.
This is his first thunderstorm outside of Rohan?
Apparently.
Whee! Yeah. Boy, now I'm just trying to think, is that an after image of lightning that's in the background, or is that something else?
It looks like it might be.
And that's it for our beacon for this week. So that means it is time for us to head into the store sales. And Arendis, what's on sale this week?
This week, it's 25% off Crafting Guild access, ingredient packs, crafting accelerators, rapid craft, crafting tiers, recipe books, now through October 31st. The weekly coupon gets you a free 90-minute +5 Hope boost with the coupon code HOPE4ME, now through October 31st as well. And the Harvest Math Festival continues through November 4th, so if you haven't gone to the festival yet, you really should.
Let me get this straight. Does that mean we lose hope on October 31st? Never mind.
I was about, well, that's a good question. I would say we return to normal levels, because if you have a boost of hope, you're going above your normal level, so now you're just returning to baseline.
All right. I was just wondering about that, considering that I was trying to fit in some sort of Halloween joke in there, but
Okay.
it was poorly done. Poorly done.
Hey, the attempt was there. A for effort.
Yes. Let us then head into our site news where we have Where in Middle Earth is Emeraldina number 26.
Wow, congrats to her for getting to 26. That's a lot of articles.
Whee! Yes. So now we have to figure out where. Well, I guess that's the entire point here, trying to figure out where she is.
I mean, my guess would be inside, but maybe that's just.
Well, yeah, it
It
does look
does.
like she is inside somewhere.
Looks like a pretty cozy place, too.
Yes. I'm going to assume that it is someplace cozy and homey and stuff like this. I have a yes, but I would like to try to go there and prove myself wrong that way. So, I'm certainly not as confident as I was, as there were a couple of places where I said, well, it has to be this place. And yeah, it was very easy to find out. But this one is like, maybe it's there. But we'll have to find that out at some point. But yes, we have another. Where in the Middle Earth is Emeraldina, number 26. So that is half a year's worth.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
So let's head into our new player question. And Arendis, what's your question this week?
My question is, how do you get started playing a musical instrument in LOTRO?
Ooh. I guess the first thing to note on this is that all characters start with the ability to play 2 instruments. I am, except for minstrels, who of course naturally start with a lot more than that. But if you're not a minstrel, you start with 2 musical instruments that you can play. One of them is the lute. Everyone can play the lute. And depending on your class, you could either play the clarinet or the horn. If you want to learn any others, I believe you need to get a minstrel to teach them to you, though I think there's some that you can get some other ways, like, for example, the more cowbell you could get at the skirmish camp and the like. All right, but that's how to learn how to play. Of course, I presume you also want to know how you get the musical instrument in the first place. In
Yes,
which case,
please.
yes, go to a bard. And yes, those bards actually have a use. Now, the bards have the most basic versions of all of them. If you're a high-end minstrel, you want to get better instruments because the ones sold by the bards, I think there might be one or two that have minimal stats on them, but most of them have no stats whatsoever.
It'll still work for low levels, though, if you just want to try different instruments that you can play
Yeah,
as a minstrel.
yeah. As a minstrel, yeah, if you want to minstrel and just want to test out various instruments without paying huge money in the auction house, and you trying to look for an instrument with the right sound that goes with you, you might want to test them out that way. And then when you find the right one, then you could worry about getting one with some good stats on it afterwards. And it looks like that the festival has a barter. Yeah, Guarandis says that the festival, the guide for the cowbell, is available right now, I believe, through barter at the festival. That's the one
You
I
can get
always.
some instruments at some festivals now.
Yeah.
And it might be that most classes can play fiddles and bassoons now. There might be a level requirement on that, but I think that
Yeah.
was one of the things they added.
Oh, you're right.
And
Yes,
Sam
that's right.
says, yeah, everyone can.
Everyone can. It's just that you have to be a certain level to it. And that's right, because my lower level characters, of course, can't play those instruments. So I completely
It's not a
forgotten about
very
the.
high level, though, I don't think.
Yeah.
Like 15 or 20 or something. I'd have to look it up, but
I guess because I never I guess because the fiddles and the bassoons, because they're relatively recent instruments, I had completely forgotten about them, especially since while fiddles and bassoons are great things to have in bands, it sound like they'd be rather silly in battle. Can you imagine trying to carry a
That would be
fiddle
kind of
into
fun though.
battle?
Or a bassoon. Oh, that's what
Worst
my
case scenario, you have a
minstrel
pokey stick.
needs.
Yeah. Hmm. I guess especially since the minstrel that I'm leveling right now is a stout axe. So I just trying to imagine a stout axe trying to play going around there playing a fiddle. So right now I think of it, I'm playing a flute right now because that's the only one for which the recipe dropped for me. So,
You should grab a fiddle and just try the sound of it, Pine.
yeah, maybe I should try a fiddle and see. Well, the question is whether or not I can. I don't think I get one with stats on it at my level though, because I think that was
Maybe
one of the
not.
things that, and that's the thing that's going to make a big difference on there. I was hoping to play clarinet because I usually like the sound of the clarinet as something to play for that, but we'll have to see about that. That'll come later.
Now, if you actually want to play music,
Yes.
there's a way to like manually play each note. If you want to play a whole song, though, you can use one of the special files for it and get the songbook. What do they call that? I want to call it an app. The songbook
The plugin.
Plugin. Yeah.
And put the songs into that, and so then you can just hit that button and go into music mode and pick a song and play it, and it'll actually make music and play all the right notes for you. So
Yeah. Technically, you don't need songbook. It just makes it a whole lot easier to do it. But I know that
yeah,
in the early days, I was doing it manually whenever I wanted to
if you
play something or something like this. So it's like /play space.
Oh boy.
yeah, there's a whole string of command thing that you can enter for it, and you can look it up online to make sure you get it right. And then you don't have
But
to keep
yes,
like re-listening to us and try to figure it out too.
yes, the songbook from the LOTRO interface page is by far the best way in which to be able to play something on an instrument. If you want to play anything serious, especially if you're in a band. If you're doing solo stuff, you might get away with with typing things in, but you're getting in a band, you need to sync in with people, you need to make sure you play the right part, and usually when there are multiple parts, you've got these long names for the piece on it because they're telling you not only the name of the piece, but also the part that it is. So yes, it can get complicated. So I highly recommend Songbook.
But it's a great
And
system too. Yeah, I love the system. I love the music system.
yes, the music system is one of the great aspects that you have in Lotro, and that you have bands and you of course have events such as Weatherstock. And it
That is
looks
awesome.
like since Window did add a link to Songbook into the show notes.
Yeah, that should be useful for anybody who is interested in this.
Thanks, Sam.
Yes,
You're welcome.
thank
Oh,
you
and
for
there are
that.
ABC files that you're looking for to be able to
Yeah.
play music.
Gotcha.
So if you see something that sounds like the name of a song.abc, then that's the right thing.
Gotcha.
And you can find whole folders of them in different places, so.
Yes. As for playing it manually, Guarenda says, manual? That way lies madness. Yes.
Yeah, I feel like
Let,
that way too because the manual play is to clear out an area where you're at, is get all the other players.
yeah. Let's then head into our week in Lotro and Arendis. What were you up to?
It was just kind of light on my side this week. Mostly played with my Bjorning. Sorry, Terry. I was able to level up. I believe I'm on, I think, level 15 or 16 at this point. But I got hopelessly lost in the Old Forest and I actually had to port out in order to find civilization again. I don't know how many times I've run, the first 20 levels on a character, and I just, for some reason, cannot find Tom Bombadil's house on the first try. I don't know what it is. I just can't seem to find it. So, anyways, so it was just multiple minutes of me just wandering around aimlessly lost. But what can you do? Sans, how was your week?
My week was pretty good. I took several low-level alts to celebrate Durin's Day on girls, including the burglar who infamously ran away from the moose last year, who was still only level, 40 this year. But there was no moose incident. There was a stealthed lynx incident, but she made it up to the thing on the second try. And then I took a level 7 stout axe up to celebrate. And died on the way back down, and ended up back in the stout axe starter instance. With only Lithy and the maggots and rats. Nobody else, no way out, all the exits sealed. It was kind of disconcerting. Fortunately, porting out to my milestone worked.
Good thing you remembered to set the milestone. Yeah.
No, I hadn't set the milestone, which might have been how I ended up there.
Ooh.
But if you hovered over the milestone, it said it was set to Thorin's Gate. And when I clicked it, it sent me to Thorin's Gate like it should. So,
all right.
I actually set it there, and hopefully another death won't cause me to go back to the intro, but that was kind of interesting.
So wait a second. Did you just time travel?
Basically.
Like, did you time travel in game?
I did. I went all the way back to Third Age, whatever that was. Like, it said T.A, the year, Mordor, right there. Yeah. It was as though I traveled back to before I walked out of Mordor. So that was pretty crazy. And then we took a group of level 100s, or close to 100s, roving threat hunting. And most of them were alts that we didn't really know how to play, so that was kind of fun. Figured out where my lore master skills were mostly, and we took down a few roving threats in Forkel. So, yeah, that was a lot of fun. And I made a new hunter with Gwendis to run Yellow Line. So, 2 new hunters running Yellow Line, and they made it to level 13 so far. So, that's been a lot of fun. I did learn that the decoy, while it's super effective against 2 mobs, is not super effective against a whole flock of Hindrovale that have been gathered. It went down in no time flat. So, yeah, that was exciting. Narrowly avoided death that round, and learned that I do have 2 skills that can be shot while running backwards. We were saved by a dwarf guardian, so it was very nice. And I don't plan to try that again for a little while, at least not before the decoy can explode. But yeah, that was pretty cool. And I learned some dances on Arkenstone and reached level 99 on Sanswinda, who is a minstrel on Arkenstone. So that was pretty cool. And I'm more than halfway to 100. So definitely looking forward to that and going roving threat hunting, hopefully. So that was my week. How was your week, Krister?
Well, I always have complicated weeks in LOTRO. And to my eternal shame, I'm sharing I'm sharing a moment of death with you guys, showing what I typed into world chat when I inadvertently triggered my chat in the middle of combat. As you can see, I was trying to move forward, and then I inadvertently I kept hitting the target focus, and then I tried to hit my primary attack skill, and then I hit my backspace key to push to talk to complain about what was going on and why wasn't it working, and why did I just... And then I realized that once I posted that into world chat. That was exactly why I died.
Oops.
it's constantly a mistake I've seen happen before, and I always have a bit of empathy for anybody when I see that long string of gibberish in world chat. I just know that somebody's moment went poorly there. And my kin is kind of getting back in form, so we decided last night to go dance with the Moomax, and we did Throne of Dread Terror. The Moomax went surprisingly easy. That's usually where we got stomped into dust. Unfortunately, we've died in droves in every single major section after that. And after we're done here, in fact, I'm going to go and we're going to see about finishing it up tonight. And once again, I know I've complained about this before, and I apologize, but it's a deep wound in my life. I continue to not have Dragok as a mount, and frankly, I'm getting frustrated. So I'm still working for it. If there's anything anybody can do to help me ride Dragok out of that mountain, and but he's got to be able to trample. That's the main thing. That's the main requirement. Other than that, that's my week. Finally, what about you?
I'll begin on Honor, where my warden finished up in Dunland after spending a slight amount of time in a certain tower that we've all heard of. But I managed to escape from there and put on a little bit of revenge against the Falcon clan, but certainly not enough revenge. We will have to get more of that later. And now I'm ready to head into the Gap of Rohan. On my main warden, I finally managed to complete the depths, because the last time I tried it, it was just such a bad experience. It took me a month at least before I decided, all right, let's try it again. And this time, the elves actually followed and helped me during the latter parts of it, which I must say made a big difference. And then finally, I spent a bit of time on Bulbar, where I was doing things like checking out Hobbit presents and managed to run the 4 new instances, as I mentioned earlier. And of course, it knew that I was Pine Leaf, because one of the times when I was going for a silver present, it says, here you go, 1,000 marks. Because what's Pine Leaf without a few marks on Bulbar? Right? We currently have...
Did you skirmish on Bull Roar Pine?
Did I skirmish on Bull Roar?
I was just curious.
Don't think so, because I don't think I had a reason to skirmish there.
Well, I mean, they might update the rewards for skirmishing at some point.
Yeah, and I would say maybe the year before the sun goes nova.
Alright, I just thought I'd ask.
Yeah. Yes. Or I guess more likely the sun. Actually, seeing that the odds of the sun actually literally going nova are so small, let's say before the sun turns into a white dwarf, let's say that. Okay. We currently have 16 supporters on Patreon, and if you would like to join this illustrious raid of players and help support LOTRO players, simply go to the donations page. You can support the Players Alliance on Patreon. There you'll find rewards, including a mention on the podcast of your choice, or even be guest with us for an episode of LOTRO Players News. We did not receive any emails this week, but if you'd like to send one, you can send to podcast@lotraplayers.com, and you can also follow us on Twitter, the Players Alliance @Players Alliance, Players Ally, LOTRO Players @LOTRO Players, Arendis @Arendis, Pineleaf @Pineleaf, Nielsen, Winda @Winda, Terry Edwin @Terry Edwin, and I heard a rumor that Krister is unreachable.
That would be correct.
Yes. The Players Alliance has 2 shows on Mondays at 7 p.m. US Eastern Time. We have DDO Players News, and on Saturdays at 8:30 p.m. US Eastern Time, we have LOTRO Players News. And you can join our shows at LOTROplayers.com/live. And that is all for tonight. And this is Pineleaf Needles reminding you to skirmish responsibly.